Today's video is brought to you by Assiniboine Downs Gaming and Event Center. And be sure to tune in to Trust the Profits Live Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern for Monday Night Lights, hosted by Matthew DeSantis.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to this presentation of the Belmont Stakes Spotlight of Forte, who has been, the biggest name in the Kentucky Derby prep season since his Breeders' Cup Juvenile Championship win. Matthew DeSantis joins me tonight. Matthew, what's your initial thoughts on Forte, who, first of all, was scratched, unfortunately, in the Kentucky Derby kind of last minute?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Forte?
Yeah, listen, he feels like a horse that we have a lot of history with, right? I mean, he's been around for quite a while, and, he's one that, we obviously saw him in person down at that Florida Derby. It was really awesome. He's a horse that was a great juvenile, came back, did nothing wrong, won both of his prep races in the Fountain of Youth and the Florida Derby, took one misstep on the track leading up to the Kentucky Derby, where he was the morning line favorite, and I think the rightful morning line favorite in that race. And, then all hell broke loose on Twitter and, at Churchill Downs in terms of, is the horse okay? And what's the matter? Is he lame? Has he suffered any structural damage, et cetera? Looked like he was okay, but, the track vets at Churchill, because of all the other controversies that have taken place at that track and deaths that have took place at that track leading up to that day, were, definitely erred on the side of caution and thought he was favoring that front right leg, if I'm not mistaken, and decided to be a veterinary scratch. And so that kind of threw things into flux. And so he was unable to work out for a while, finally worked out, got on his regular training schedule again. But it's going to be 10 weeks now between the Florida Derby and this Belmont Stakes. So he's a horse that, listen, he's got a huge ceiling. We've seen it. He's super talented. But I think there's some legitimate questions to make in terms of coming off this long layoff.
Yeah, and as a fan of Forte, I really hope. I mean, could you imagine if Forte goes out in the Kentucky Derby and hurts himself to the euthanization? I mean, you can't.
I don't even want to think about it. Yeah, it's
you
terrible.
Can't. So I commend the veterinarian who put a stop to it.
Yep.
I mean, I know that was very controversial. The connections were not happy. Obviously, there was a great quote that came out of the interviews there that said, you only get a chance to be a 3-year-old colt once, the best 3-year-old colt in the country.
It's truth. Morning
line favorite one time in your career, and this is it. And it's very unfortunate for Forte, because you saw his heart in the Florida Derby at Gulfstream.
Yeah.
You saw his heart in the, several times before that. The Breeders' Cup, you saw it before that when he beat Loggins, Colin Sheehan's absolute favorite horse of all time. But, I mean, listen.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate, but if it saved his life, I commend everybody involved.
Yeah.
So with that said, what do we make of him here? Because not only has he had the layoff, but now he's running into this is way tougher field than the Preakness. The Preakness is a joke compared to this, because I've said it before, and I'm getting dry in the mouth talking about this. You got the three best horses of this crop, in my opinion. Angel of Empire, Forte, Tapit, Trice are the three best of this crop. And maybe historically we'll look back and laugh at my opinion on that, but Forte is definitely amongst them.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of the layoff. He has not seen the competition level that he's going to see here.
Yeah.
But, he hasn't strayed away from the Kentucky Derby winner, Mage, who he closed on and beat. So that's if you need that. And obviously his speed figures have been right there with anybody.
Yeah, and they've been incredibly consistent, too. That's the one thing that,
yes,
from an equibase speed figure standpoint, 102, 105, 106, 104. I mean, he's running. Now, some people would say he's running the same number basically over and over and over again, and maybe there's not upper bound, opportunity to run something a little bit higher. Okay, I mean, I think that's nitpicking because nobody else has really gotten up there.
I was going to say, nobody in this crop has really, I mean, you saw Angel of Empire, I think, was in the same range.
Yeah,
Mage,
I mean, with one or
range.
two of his races. Yeah, and so it's the fact he's put together 4 straight races from an equibase speed figure standpoint that are 100 plus, tells you everything you need to know about his class. He's lost one race, the Sanford Stakes. That was it. The trivia question that might end up going down in history is who's the one horse to beat Forte, and it's Mo Strike, who, shout out to Mo Strike, is actually back on the track now. But it is, it's one of those things where it's just like, this horse hasn't done anything wrong. Now, I know that there's a lot of people, and I can't wait to, and I talked to Jessica Tugwell about this, our pedigree expert here on Trust the Profits, leading up to the Kentucky Derby. I know a lot of people are not necessarily sold on the pedigree. That Violence up top in particular is not a sire that they trust to produce a classic winner in terms of, and they were worried about this going into the Kentucky Derby, some people. Now you're stretching out another quarter of a mile and going a mile and a half. Can he get the distance? I think that's the question for Forte, and we're not going to have an answer until the Saturday of the Belmont, to be perfectly honest with you. But obviously, Mike Rapoli trying to come back with another winner here after Mo Donegal last year in the Belmont Stakes. Same connections, Pletcher, Irad. There's nobody better in the business than Todd Pletcher, stretching a horse out and getting him ready for the Test of Champions at the Belmont. So, there's a lot to like with him, but the layoff is definitely a question mark, especially when you consider Tapit, Trice, and Angel of Empire are going to be they're in race mode, and they have been for a while, and they're coming off that Derby 5 weeks ago, and we'll see how. I think they're maybe a little bit more on point at this time.
Let me excite you with something, whether you like Forte or not. I'm going to excite you with something. So Forte. All right, let's say you're the biggest Forte slappy in the world. He comes off the Florida Derby, beats Mage, the Kentucky Derby champion, closes on him and beats him outright. Mage ran a great race. Mm-hmm. Looking back on it, it was even better than we thought.
Mm-hmm.
But, so he's now Forte is heading up against Angel of Empire and Tapit Trice, the best in the business. If you love Forte and you believe in everything he has, like you said, 4 straight, very consistent, above 100 Equibase speed figures. You go off buyers or any speed figures you go off of. The most consistently brilliant horse in this crop for sure, up until the injury that kept him out of the Derby. If you like him, you're going to get honestly 3-1, 4-1. I mean, at the worst 5-2. I don't see him going below 5-2, and that is because what I said already. The other 2 best horses in this crop are in this race. Angel of Empire, Tapit Trice are going to take a ton of money. And then you have Hit Show, National Treasure, the Preakness winner, going to take some money.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, you're going to get, do I venture to guess 7-2, 4-1, maybe even 9-2 on freaking Forte? If you love Forte, you're going hard, baby. And if you don't love him, go hard against them, because the Angel of Empire and Tapit Trice are also going to be in that same range, somewhere between 5-2 and 9-2. And I'm going to be honest. Watching the betting on this is going to be just as fun as the race itself, because there are 5 of the 10 horses in this race that are still, lined up for the gate here.
Yeah.
5 of them are pretty lively.
They are. And I think it's interesting. I agree with you. The betting in this race is going to be intriguing, because I think Triple Crown races are a different breed in terms of betting, because the public comes in and kind of screws up what what I call, from an old wrestling terminology, the smart marks think is going to be. And it's all these people who go, oh, I know what the odds are going to be. No, you don't, because you don't know the public.
You don't.
And you really Happy Jack 19-1. Just remember that.
Yeah. And nobody knows that.
Yeah. And so the public kind of goes in odd ways. Now, on one hand, I could say the public got to know Forte a little bit leading up to the Kentucky Derby, because he was that morning line favorite. And I think a lot of people might say, hey, wait a second, the horse that was the favorite in the Kentucky Derby is running again. I'm putting my money on this horse. And because the horse that did win isn't running, Mage and that sort of thing. And so I'm going to, this horse beat Mage. Wow,
or did they already forget about him, Matt? Or did they already forget about him?
Well, that's the question. That's what I think. There's that variability. Could he be 9-5? I don't know.
We're talking about the fringe fans out there who don't
exactly.
I mean, obviously, we're very well engaged with this field, but Joe Blow, the plumber who bets on these races during the Triple Crown Breeders' Cup only all year long, he recognizes Forte, but in his mind, Forte didn't win. Here's the other thing to mention, though.
Irad Ortiz Jr., Todd Pletcher, Rapole Stables. You can't get more New York than those three guys. And in terms of
what a story it would be to win for them. I mean, it was a heartbreaker
talk
to
about the
watch that whole
redemption.
thing.
Absolutely. Yep. And I mean, so those are New York connections. I mean, Irad, everybody in New York knows. Pletcher, New York. Rapole, New York. I mean, this is a New York contingent. So on a certain hand, you go, this is the local horse. This is the horse that everybody who's at the track that day is probably going to be putting a lot of money on. So, could he get bet down? Maybe. But to your point, if he does, that means Angel of Empire and Tapit Trice are floating up.
Right.
And then you get a great betting opportunity there.
Put it this way, if FORTE was in the Preakness last week,
oh my,
he'd be even money. I mean, honestly. And so would Angel of Empire, and so would Tapit Trice. Yeah. But instead, we have the three best horses in this crop, again, in my opinion, but it's true. I mean, come on, you're going to get, you'll never see any of those three horses go off at 3-1, 4-1. This
outside
is
of the Breeders' Cup.
Betting.
Yeah. Yep. Probably. Yeah. I mean, I think you're not going to get them. If any one of them wins this race, you're not going to get those odds again on that horse until the Breeders' Cup Classic.
And imagine if you're Matthew here who likes National Treasure, who's going to be like 10, 12, 15-1, honestly.
I cashed my ticket last time, baby.
I know. Congrats for that. But I mean, if you really think he's got a shot, which I don't, but I mean, if more power to you if you do. I've been wrong before. I mean, but Hit Show, a lot of people are on Hit Show.
Yeah, a lot of people like Hit Show.
Big prices, baby. But I just don't see a way around those big three. And I may even, it depends. I will probably bet, depending on how that goes. And you shouldn't bet strictly on the way odds go, but man, if any of those three get a little bit wider than I think they should, around 4-1 or so, it might be time to pounce.
Yeah.
But man, I might just sit back and watch that race unfold, because this is a great betting race, and it is a great race in general. The best Belmont that I can remember, as far as raw talent goes. And I think FORTE adds to it because obviously the Derby situation.
Yeah.
And then you got the two other best horses of the crop, in my opinion, are both horses that like the distance. So what does that add up to? The three best horses in the crop in the Belmont, which is rare.
Hopefully a little bit of money. And I agree. I mean, it's going to be a great race and a great betting race. And I think you're right. The depth of this Belmont field feels a lot better than certainly we've seen in recent years. I mean, you can look at obviously Triple Crown winners like American Pharaoh and Justify winning. That goes without saying. But I think the depth is what really strikes me, is like you can go legitimately like 4, 5, 6 horses deep and go, these are good, really good horses. I mean, a horse like Arcangelo, I think is going to have a huge summer in Saratoga. So, I mean, I just think there's a lot of really nice horses in this field. So,
the speculated morning line 5th choice is Hit Show. I mean, and Hit Show's
finished 5th in the Kentucky Derby.
I mean,
come on. Yeah. I mean, that horse outfinished Tapit Trice.
National Treasure, the Preakness winner, is the 4th choice here. I mean, we have, it's a good field. It's the best Belmont field that I can remember talent-wise, in my opinion. Yep. So with that, good luck betting this race, by the way. And honestly, I don't want to put too many opinions forward without seeing the bets or the post-time odds, and it's going to take shape throughout the day there. But man, honestly, I think those top three are going to be somewhere in that 5-2 to 9-2 range. I don't know how. I think probably FORTE and Tapit Trice will be slightly favoritism over Angel of Empire.
Yep.
And then anybody else is going to be a big price. So Matthew, anything else to close out the
No, just a reminder for everybody to press that like button and subscribe button on YouTube, and let us know in the comments what you think of FORTE and whether or not you're getting back on the train.
Bada boom, bada bing. Thanks everybody for watching, and peace out.